So now we're going to discuss about vitamins. So the word vitamin actually originated from a Latin word vita, meaning life, and its suffix amine, which means a nitrogen compound. So vitamin is a group of unrelated organic compounds found in a food that are needed only in a small or minute quantities in the diet, but they are essential for specific metabolic reactions within the cell and necessary for normal growth and maintenance of the body. So the body actually cannot synthesize enough of these components to meet all of its needs. Therefore, they must be obtained from an animal and vegetable tissues taken in as a food. So vitamins do not give energy to the body, but at the same time, it also does not have any caloric value. So the vitamins act as a coenzyme to activate a variety of proteins on enzymes that catalyzes biochemical activity. They are indicated for the treatment of vitamin deficiency as dietary supplements when needed, and as a specific therapy related to activity of the vitamin. So vitamins are either water-soluble or those that cannot be stored in the body, hence they are excreted in the urine. Or if fat-soluble, those vitamins that are capable of being stored in our body or in the adipose tissues of our body. So just like what I have discussed a while ago, vitamins have two distinct classifications. These are the water-soluble vitamins and the fat-soluble vitamins. When we say fat-soluble vitamins, these are vitamins that are called ADEC because these vitamins are composed of vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K in association with lipids that are found in foods. So fat-soluble vitamins generally have precursors or provitamins. So when we say precursors, these are compounds that can be changed to active vitamins. For example, carotene and cryptocyanthine are precursor of vitamin A. Another one is ergosterol, when radiated, becomes vitamin D. So additionally, because they can be stored in the body, deficiency are slow to develop and they are not absolutely needed in daily food sources. On the other hand, the water-soluble vitamins are mostly composed of vitamin B complex and vitamin C. So these vitamins must be supplied every day in the body, unlike fat-soluble. Water-soluble vitamins do not have precursors and they are not stored significantly in the body, and any excess is excreted in the urine. And deficiency symptoms develop relatively fast. So being a water-soluble, they are most likely to be destroyed in ordinary cooking, not unlike fat-soluble, which are stable even in ordinary cooking. Or these vitamins are retained in food even they undergo in normal cooking.
A, C, E, D, B, K. No, this isn't some random out-of-order alphabet. These are vitamins. And just like letters build words, they're the building blocks that keep the body running. Vitamins are organic compounds we need to ingest in small amounts to keep functioning. They're the body's builders, defenders, and maintenance workers, helping it to build muscle and bone, make use of nutrients, capture and use energy, and heal wounds. If you need convincing about vitamin value, just consider the plight of olden-day sailors who had no access to vitamin-rich fresh produce. They got scurvy. But vitamin C, abundant in fruits and vegetables, was the simple antidote to this disease. While bacteria, fungi, and plants produce their own vitamins, our bodies can't, so we have to get them from other sources. So how does the body get vitamins from out there into here? That's dependent on the form these compounds take. Vitamins come in two types, lipid-soluble and water-soluble, and the difference between them determines how the body transports and stores vitamins and gets rid of the excess. The water solubles are vitamin C and B complex vitamins that are made up of 8 different types that each do something unique. These are dissolved in the watery parts of fruits, vegetables, and grains, meaning their passage through the body is relatively straightforward. Once inside the system, these foods are digested, and the vitamins within them are taken up directly by the bloodstream. Because blood plasma is water-based, water-soluble vitamins C and B have their transport cut out for them and can move around freely within the body. For lipid-soluble vitamins, dissolved in fat and found in foods like dairy, butter, and oils, this trip into the blood is a little more adventurous. These vitamins make it through the stomach and the intestine, where an acidic substance called bile flows in from the liver, breaking up the fat and preparing it for absorption through the intestinal wall. Because fat-soluble vitamins can't make use of the blood's watery nature, they need something else to move them around. And that comes from proteins that attach to the vitamins and act like couriers, transporting fat solubles into the blood and around the body. So this difference between water or fat-soluble vitamins determines how they get into the blood, but also how they're stored or ejected from the body. The system's ability to circulate water-soluble vitamins in the bloodstream so easily means that most of them can be passed out equally easily via the kidneys. Because of that, most water-soluble vitamins need to be replenished on a daily basis through the food we eat. But fat-soluble vitamins have staying power because they can be packed into the liver and in fat cells. The body treats these parts like a pantry, storing the vitamins there and rationing them out when needed, meaning we shouldn't overload on this type of vitamin because the body is generally well stocked. Once we've figured the logistics of transport and storage, the vitamins are left to do the work they came here to do in the first place.
So now we're going to discuss the vitamins under the fat soluble or the vitamin added. So the first thing we have here is the vitamin A, or also called as the retinol. So vitamin A has many functions in the body. In addition to helping the eyes adjust to light changes, vitamin A plays an important role in bone growth, tooth development, reproduction, cell division, gene expression, and even regulation of immune system. The skin, eyes, and mucous membrane of the mouth, nose, throat, and even the lungs depend on the vitamin A to retain its moisture. So what are the food sources for vitamin A? So eating a wide variety of foods is the best way to ensure that the body gets enough vitamin A. So the retinol, and even retinoic acid forms of vitamin A are supplied primarily by foods that are animal origin, such as dairy products, fish, and liver. So some foods of plant origin contain an antioxidant, beta-carotene, which the body converts to a vitamin A. So beta-carotene comes from fruits and vegetables, especially those that are orange or dark green in color. So vitamin A sources also includes carrots, pumpkins, winter squash, dark green leafy vegetable, and even apricots. So how much vitamin A do we need in a day? So the recommendation for vitamin A intake is expressed as micrograms or mcg of retinol activity equivalents, or RAE or the RAE. Retinol activity equivalence accounts for the fact that the body converts only a portion of beta-carotene to retinol. 1 RAE equals 1 mcg of retinol or 12 mcg of beta-carotene. So the recommended dietary allowance for vitamin A is 900 mcg a day for adult males and 700 mcg a day for adult females. Compared to vitamin A containing foods, it takes twice the amount of carotene-rich foods to meet the body's vitamin A requirements. So one may need to increase consumption of carotene-containing plant foods to meet the RDA for vitamin A. So studies indicate that vitamin A requirements may be increased due to hyperthyroidism, fever, infection, cold, and even exposure to excessive amount of sunlight. So those who consume excess alcohol or have renal disease failure should also increase intake of vitamin A. So what are the vitamin A deficiencies? So vitamin A deficiency in the United States is rare. But these diseases are the results of known as serophthalmia, so which can lead to blindness if untreated. So it is mostly commonly occurs in developing nations, usually due to malnutrition, since vitamin A is stored in the liver. It may take up 2 years for signs of deficiency to appear. So night blindness is one of the deficiency, and it can also occur when there's a dry, rough skin may indicate a lack of vitamin A. So what are the signs and symptoms that there is a overdose of vitamin A for a person? So much like an excessive intake of dietary retinol, these medications have been shown to negatively impact bone health and result in delayed growth in children and teens. Symptoms of vitamin A toxicity includes dry, itchy skin, headache, nausea, and loss of appetite. Signs of severe overuse over a short period of time includes dizziness, blurred vision, and slowed growth. Vitamin A toxicity can also cause severe birth defects and may increase the risk for bone loss and hip fractures. Now, another vitamin under a fat-soluble is the vitamin D, or what we call calciferol. This plays a critical role in the body's use of calcium and phosphorus. It works by increasing the amount of calcium absorbed from the small intestine, helping to form and maintain bones. So vitamin D benefits the body by playing a role on the immunity and controlling cell growth, and may protect against osteoporosis, high blood pressure, cancer, and other diseases. So children especially need adequate amount of vitamin D to develop strong bones and healthy teeth. So what are the food sources for vitamin D? The primary food sources of vitamin D are milk and other dairy products fortified with vitamin D. So vitamin D is also found in oily fish as well as in cod liver oil. In addition to the vitamin D provided by food, we obtain vitamin D through our skin, which proceeds on the vitamin D in response to sunlight. So how much vitamin D do we need to take in a day? So the recommended dietary allowance for vitamin D appears as a microgram as well of cholecalciferol. So from 12 months to age 50, the RDA is set at 15 mcg. 20 mcg of calciferol equals 800 international units. So, which is the recommendation for the maintenance of the vitamin D. And another thing is that exposure to ultraviolet light is necessary for the body to produce the active form of vitamin D. So 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight without sunscreen on the hands, arm, and even the face twice a week is sufficient enough to receive enough vitamin D. So what are the vitamin D deficiencies? Symptoms of vitamin D deficiency in growing children includes rickets or long soft bowed legs and flattening of the back of the skull. Vitamin D deficiency in adults may result in osteomalacia or muscle and bone weakness, and another one is osteoporosis or loss of bone mass. But when there's too much of vitamin D, there's an intolerable upper intake level or UL for vitamin D. It is set at 100 mcg or 4,000 IUs for people 9 years of age and older. High doses of vitamin D supplements coupled with large amount of fortified foods may cause accumulation in the liver and produce signs of poisoning. Signs of vitamin D toxicity includes excess calcium in the blood, slowed mental and physical growth, decreased appetite, nausea, and vomiting. So now we're going to discuss another vitamin under a fat soluble, which is the vitamin E, or also known as the tocopherol. So this vitamin benefits the body by acting as an antioxidant and protecting the vitamins A and C, even the red blood cells, and it is also essential for fatty acids from destruction. So this vitamin E includes in some research that suggested that taking antioxidant supplements such as vitamin E in particular might help prevent heart disease and even cancer. So what are the food sources where we can get vitamin E? So about 60% of vitamin E in the diet comes from vegetable oil such as soybean, corn, cottonseed, and even sunflower. So this also includes products made with vegetable oil such as margarine and salad dressings. So another one is vitamin E sources also includes in fruits and vegetable greens and nuts, including almonds and hazelnuts, seeds such as sunflower, and fortified cereals. How much vitamin E do we need in a day? So the recommended dietary allowance, or RDA, for vitamin E is based on the most active and usable form called alpha tocopherol. Food and supplement labels list alpha tocopherol as a unit, international units, or IU, or micrograms, not in milligrams. 1 micrograms of alpha tocopherol equals to 1.5 IU. So the RDA guidelines states that males and females over the age of 14 should receive 15 mcg or 22.5 IUs of alpha tocopherol per day. Consuming vitamin E in excess of the RDA does not result in any added benefits. So what are the vitamin E deficiency? Vitamin E deficiency is rare. Cases of vitamin E deficiency usually only occur in premature infants and those that are unable to absorb fats. Since vegetable oils are good sources of vitamin E, people are excessively reduce their total dietary fat and may not get enough vitamin E. How about when we get too much vitamin E? So the tolerable upper intake level for vitamin E is shown as vitamin E can be obtained from a food usually does not pose a risk of toxicity. So supplemental vitamin E is not recommended due to lack of evidence supporting any added health benefits. Mega doses of supplemental vitamin E may pose a hazard to people taking blood thinning medications such as Coumadin, or also known as warfarin, and those on a statin. The last vitamin that we have for a fat soluble is the vitamin K, or the menadione. So it is naturally provided by the bacteria in the intestine and plays an essential role in normal blood clotting, promoting bone health, and helping to produce proteins for blood, bones, and kidneys. However, infants are exception since their intestine doesn't usually have bacteria starting from the time they were given birth, hence they lack of vitamin K, and infants are injected with it as soon as they are birthed. Now, for the food sources for vitamin K, good food sources of vitamin K are green leafy vegetables such as turnip, greens, spinach, cauliflower, cabbage, and broccoli, and certain vegetable oils including soybean oil, cottonseed oil, canola oil, and much more. So how much vitamin K do we need? Without sufficient amounts of vitamin K, hemorrhaging can occur. Vitamin K deficiency may appear in infants or in the people who take anticoagulants such as Coumadin or warfarin. So these are antibiotic drugs. Newborn babies lack of intestinal bacteria to produce vitamin K and need a supplement for the first week. Those on the anticoagulant drugs or blood thinners may become vitamin K deficient, but should not change their vitamin K intake without consulting their physician. How about when we get too much vitamin K? So, too much vitamin K, although no tolerable upper intake level has been established for vitamin K, excessive amount can also cause the breakdown of red blood cells and liver damage. People taking blood thinning drugs or anticoagulants should moderate their intake of foods with vitamin K because excess vitamin K can alter blood clotting times and large doses of vitamin K are not advised.
Vitamin A helps make white blood cells, key in the body's defense, helps shape bones, and improves vision by keeping the cells of the eye in check. Vitamin D gathers calcium and phosphorus so we can make bones. And vitamin E works as an antioxidant, getting rid of elements in the body that can damage cells. Finally, from vitamin K, we score the ability to clot blood, since it helps make the proteins that do this job. Without this vitamin variety, humans face deficiencies that cause a range of problems, like fatigue, nerve damage, heart disorders, or diseases like rickets and scurvy. On the other hand, too much of any vitamin can cause toxicity in the body. So there goes the myth that loading yourself with supplements is a great idea. In reality, it's all about getting the balance right and hitting that vitamin jackpot.
Now we're going to proceed in water-soluble vitamins since we're done in vitamin ADEC. So we have to take note that water-soluble vitamins are those vitamins that aren't stored but rather excreted through urine. They are less likely to cause issues even when taken in high doses. Hence, there is no much possibility for water-soluble vitamins overdose. However, taking mega doses of some water-soluble vitamins can lead to potentially dangerous side effects. Now, let's proceed in vitamins under water-soluble. First thing we have is the vitamin C. So the body needs a vitamin C, or also known as the ascorbic acid or ascorbate. So to maintain or remain in a proper working condition, vitamin C is needed. Vitamin C can benefit the body by holding cells together through collagen synthesis. Collagen is a connective tissue that holds muscles, bone, and other tissues together. Vitamin C also aids in wound healing, bone and tooth formation, and strengthening blood vessels wall, improving immune system function, increasing absorption, utilization of iron, and even acting as an antioxidant. So what are the food sources for a vitamin C? So there are food sources such as fruits and vegetable contains a vitamin C, and one of the best sources of it is the citrus fruits, peppers, kiwi, and even strawberries, and some also contain in broccoli. So what are the recommended daily or dietary allowance or RDA for vitamin C? Vitamin C is needed in 90 mg per day for adult males and 75 mg per day for adult females. For those who smoke cigarette, they also needed to increase their vitamin C intake since up to 35 mg per day in order to counteract the oxidative effects of nicotine. Another thing, vitamin C recommendations also increase during pregnancy and lactation since it also supports the pregnant mother's intake on iron supplements such as the folic acid. Another thing is the vitamin B1. So vitamin B1 is also under the water-soluble vitamins. So it is also called as a thiamine. So it helps to release energy from foods, promotes normal appetite, and plays a role in the muscle contraction and conduction of nerve signal. So the recommended dietary allowance or RDA for thiamine is up to 1.2 mg per day for adult males and 1.1 mg per day for adult females. We also have in our water-soluble the vitamin B2 or also called as the riboflavin. So these are vitamins that helps to release energy from foods and is also important for growth, development, and functioning of the cells in the body. So it also helps to convert the amino acid tryptophan, which makes up the protein, into a niacin. Food sources for riboflavin includes eggs, organ meat such as liver and kidneys, dark green leafy vegetables, milk, and whole and rich grain products. Ultraviolet light is also known to destroy riboflavin, which is why most milk is packaged in opaque containers instead of a clear. How much riboflavin is needed to take in a day? So the recommended dietary allowance for riboflavin is 1.3 mg per day or 1.1 mg for a day in females and 1.3 mg per day in males. So another vitamin under a water-soluble is the vitamin B3 or the niacin. So it involves in energy production and critical cellular function. So what are the food sources for niacin? Niacin is present in wide variety of foods including animal and plant sources. The recommended dietary allowance or IDA for niacin is 16 mg per day for adult males and 14 mg a day for adult females. Another one on our water-soluble vitamins is the B6, otherwise known as the pyridoxine or pyridoxal or pyridoxamine. So it aids in a protein metabolism, red blood cell formation, and behaves as an antioxidant molecule. It is also involved in the body's production of chemicals such as neurotransmitter and hemoglobin production. Food sources for the vitamin B6 includes legumes, organ meats, fish meats, starchy vegetables, and whole grains and fortified cereals. So how much vitamin B6 is recommended in a day? So for vitamin B6, 1.3 mg for adult males is needed, and for females, it is recommended to have a 1.5 mg in a female, and some also includes for 50 and above ages for males is 1.7 mg a day. So another water-soluble vitamin we have is the vitamin B12. So when we say vitamin B12, it is also known as the cobalamin. It aids in the building of genetic material, production of normal red blood cells, and maintain of the nervous system. So what are the food sources for vitamin B12? So vitamin B12 only be found naturally in foods of animal origin such as meats and liver, kidneys, fish, eggs, milk and milk products, oysters, shellfish, and other more. Some fortified foods like breakfast, cereals, and nutritional yeast may also contain vitamin B12. So how much vitamin B12 is recommended only in a day? So vitamin B12 can be taken for up to 2.4 mcg a day for adult males and for females. Many adults over age 50 do not get enough vitamin B12. So the dietary guidelines recommended consuming foods fortified with vitamin B12 such as fortified cereals is recommended. The last one we have for a water-soluble vitamin is what we call the folate. It is also known as the folic acid or folacin. So these are the vitamins that aids in protein metabolism, promoting red blood cell formation, and lowering the risk of neural tube birth defects. So folate may also play a role in controlling homocysteine levels, thus reducing the risk for coronary heart disease. So what are the food sources where we can get a folate? So this includes foods with liver, kidney, dark greens, vegetables, meat, legumes, fish, whole grains, and fortified grains and cereals. So how much folate can we take or recommended in a day? So about 400 mcg per day for adult males and females, while pregnancy will increase the RDA of folate to 600 mcg per day. So what are the folate deficiency we can get if the patient or the person doesn't have take enough folate? So folate deficiency affects the cell growth and protein production, which can lead to overall impaired growth. Anemia is primary clinical signs of folate deficiency and includes symptoms like fatigue, headache, and heart palpitation. A folate deficiency in women who are pregnant or at childbearing age may result in the delivery of a baby with a neural tube defect such as spina bifida.
Vitamin B complex. Vitamin B has many subtypes, many of which are important coenzymes in cellular respiration. Beriberi and anemia are deficiency diseases caused by a lack of certain B vitamins. Yeast, liver, and bran are rich sources of the vitamin. Vitamin C, or ascorbic acid. It is a water-soluble vitamin. Vitamin C is needed for the synthesis of intercellular substances. The substances are found between the cells, and they keep the cells together. Vitamin C is also necessary for maintaining healthy epithelial tissues. It is, however, not effective against influenza according to popular belief. The richest sources of this vitamin are fresh citrus fruits like oranges and lemons, and some other fruits like papaya, guava, tomatoes, and bananas. Vitamin C is also found in fresh green vegetables. Fruit juices such as blackcurrant juice and rosehip syrup are often used as convenient sources of this vitamin.
Minerals and electrolytes are vital nutrients that play crucial roles in maintaining various bodily functions, such as regulating fluid balance, supporting bone health, and enabling nerve and muscle function. These essential nutrients are necessary for sustaining life and overall well-being. Now, let's differentiate minerals and electrolytes. Minerals are inorganic substances that support various bodily functions, including bone health, immune function, and nerve function, while electrolytes are ionized minerals that regulate fluid balance, heart function, and muscle function, ensuring proper hydration and cellular function. Minerals are elements that our body needs in small amounts. They are divided into two categories, which is the macrominerals and the trace minerals. First, let's proceed to the macrominerals. Macrominerals required in larger amounts including calcium, that essential for bones and teeth, muscle function, and the nerve signaling. Next is the phosphorus that works with calcium for bone health and energy storage, magnesium that involved in over 300 biochemical reaction, muscle and nerve function and bone strength, and last is the potassium that helps maintain in blood pressure, regulates heart function, and support nerves and muscle health. Now for the trace minerals, it is needed in smaller amount but is crucial. It includes iron that's vital for red blood cell production and oxygen transport, zinc that supports immune health and wound healing, copper that involves in iron metabolism and neurologic health, and the selenium that has antioxidant properties and it's important for the thyroid function. Now let's proceed to the electrolytes. Electrolytes are minerals in our body that carry an electric charge. First, let's proceed to the sodium. Sodium regulates blood pressure, blood volume, and fluid balance. Next is potassium that works with sodium to regulate fluid balance and the muscle contraction. Third is the chloride that helps maintain proper blood pressure, blood volume, and pH of the body fluid. And lastly is the calcium and magnesium that also act as an electrolytes and are involved in muscle function and nerve signaling. Now let's proceed to the importance of minerals and electrolytes. First, it regulates fluid balance within body cells, tissues, and organs to ensure the proper blood pressure, adequate hydration, efficient waste removal, and maintains fluid balance between cells and surrounding. Second, it maintains proper pH levels that helps regulate the body's acid-base balance by controlling the concentration of hydrogen ions. This to ensure the proper cellular function, maintain stability of bodily fluids, and prevent damage to tissues and organs. Third, it supports the bone health. Minerals and electrolytes are essential for bone growth, development, and maintenance. They provide structural support, regulate bone mineralization, maintain bone density, and prevent bone disorder such as osteoporosis. Fourth, they enable nerve and muscle function for proper nerve transmission, muscle relaxation and contraction, maintain muscle tone, and regulate reflexes. And lastly, it regulates heart function such as heart rhythm, contraction, and relaxation, and also ensuring the proper heart rate, efficient blood circulation, maintain blood pressure, and prevent cardiac arrhythmias. Now, let's proceed to the consequences of imbalanced minerals and electrolyte. First is the muscle weakness that can lead to muscle cramps or muscle spasms, fatigue that can lead to physical exhaustion, mental fatigue, lack of motivation, and decreased productivity. Third is the bone disorder that can lead to osteoporosis, rickets, osteomalacia, and bone fracture. Fourth is the heart arrhythmias that can lead to abnormal heart rhythms, palpitation, tachycardia, and ventricular fibrillation. And lastly is the neurological problems that can lead to seizures, confusion, muscle tremors, neuropathy, and migraines. Additionally, severe mineral and electrolyte imbalances can lead to coma, respiratory failure, cardiac arrest, and even death. That's why it's essential to maintain optimal level of minerals and electrolyte through balanced diet, supplements if necessary, regular health checkups, and addressing underlying medical condition for early detection and correction of mineral and electrolyte imbalances to prevent this consequence and ensure overall health and well-being. Now, let's proceed to the recommended daily allowance for mineral. First is the calcium. The recommended is 1,000 mg for women aged 19 to 50 and men aged 19 to 70, and 1,200 mg for the women aged 51 and above and men aged 71 and above. Now, for the phosphorus, the recommended daily allowance is 700 mg. For magnesium is 310 to 320 mg in women and 400 to 420 mg in men. For potassium, it is 2,500 to 3,500 mg, but it may varies. And for sodium, it is less than 2,300 mg. For iron, it is 18 mg in women, 8 mg in men, and 27 mg in pregnant women. Now, for the zinc, it is 8 mg in women and 11 mg in men. For copper, it's 0.9 mg. For selenium, it is 55 microgram. And iodine, it is 150 microgram. For electrolyte, the recommended daily allowance for sodium is less than 2,300 mg. For potassium, 2,500 to 3,400 mg, but it varies. For calcium, it is 1,000 to 1,200 mg, but it depends on age. For chloride, it is 2,300 mg. And for magnesium, it is 310 to 420 mg. For special consideration of required daily allowance, pregnancy and lactation may needed to increase in iron, calcium, magnesium, and iodine. And for the aging, it higher needs for calcium and vitamin D due to bone density concern. Overall, maintaining balanced mineral and electrolyte intake is essential for health, and significant deficiency or excesses can lead to health issues.
RDA herbs are medicinal plants or botanicals used to supplement the diet and support overall health like vitamins and minerals. RDA for herbs indicates the suggested amount considered beneficial for daily intake. These recommendations stem from the concept of using herbs in measured, safe quantities based on traditional knowledge, scientific research, and cultural practices. The concept of RDA for herbs reflects on the broader principles of daily nutritional recommendations similar to those for vitamins and minerals, but adapted to the unique characteristics and effects of the botanical ingredients. Now, for the importance of RDA guidelines for herbs, while herbs have a long-standing role in traditional medicine systems such as Ayurveda, traditional Chinese medicine, and indigenous healing practices, modern scientific interest in the standardization of herbal doses is relatively new. RDA guidelines for herbs aim to provide a science-backed approach to using medicinal plants safely, allowing individuals to benefit from their therapeutic properties without risking toxicity or adverse interaction with other medication. For instance, herbs like turmeric, known for its anti-inflammatory properties, and ginger, value for digestive health, are popular but can have different effects depending on the dose. For benefits and challenges, incorporating RDA herbs can enhance health, improve nutritional balance, and offer support for specific health conditions. For example, ginseng may support energy levels. However, unlike vitamins and minerals where RDA values are widely accepted, herbs present unique challenges due to variability in potency, preparation methods, and individual health responses. Additionally, some herbs can interact with medications, underlining the importance of consulting health providers before incorporating high-potency herbal supplements. Lastly is the future directions and safety considerations. The development of RDA guidelines for herbs offer potential and safer, more effective integration of botanicals into health practices. As more specific research and clinical trials are conducted, these recommendations will likely expand, providing more reliable guidance on dosages and uses. For now, it is advised to use RDA herbs with caution, option for standardized herbal extract, or products with clear dosage guidelines to minimize risk.
Good day everyone, my name is DAPAR and today I'll be discussing infection and immunity. These two critical concepts in nursing and healthcare. By understanding this topic, it is essential for preventing and managing of diseases. What is infection? An infection occurs when a harmful organism such as bacteria, viruses, fungi, or parasite invade the body, multiply, and cause illness. Infection can be classified into four types: the bacterial infection, viral infection, fungal infection, and lastly, parasitic infection. In bacterial infection, it is typically caused by the bacteria like strep throat or pneumonia. In viral infection, it can be typically caused by viruses such as flu or the current pandemic of our century, the COVID-19. In fungal, it is typically the Atlas foot, and for parasitic, it is the infection such as the malaria that is comes from the vector of a mosquito. The immune system. The immune system is our body's defense mechanism against infection. It consists of two main components, the innate and the adaptive defense system. In innate immunity or innate defense system, this is the first line of defense, which includes physical barrier such as skin and mucous membrane, as well as the chemical barriers like saliva, tears, stomach acid that helps neutralize pathogen. In adaptive immunity, This involves specialized cells and antibody that provide long-lasting protection after exposure to specific pathogen. This system remembers past infections, allowing for more effective response upon re-exposure. Now let's see the breakdown of the immune system. Once again, there is two types of the defense system, the innate and the adaptive defense system. In innate, the physical is the skin and the uh, mucous membrane. And for the chemical, it is the saliva or the stomach acid that kills pathogen once once or it enters the body. Under adaptive defense system, there is B cell and T cell. The function of B cell is to produce antibodies that specifically target pathogens, while the T cell's function is to activate and regulate other immune system, including B and cytotoxic T cell. In addition, the cytotoxic T cell directly kills infected or cancerous cells.
So now, let's move on to antibiotics. So what are antibiotics? Antibiotics are powerful medicine that fight infections caused by bacteria in both humans and animals. They work by either killing bacteria directly or slowing down their growth, making it hard for bacteria to multiply and spread. However, antibiotics are specifically designed to treat bacterial infections and are not effective against viral infections like the flu or the common cold. So antibiotics can be produced in three main ways. So the first one is naturally. Some antibiotics are made by living microorganisms such as fungi and bacteria that produce antibiotic substances to defend themselves against other bacteria. For example, penicillin, one of the first antibiotics, was discovered in mold. The next one is synthetically. These antibiotics are created in laboratories through chemical synthesis, allowing for better control over their structure and activity. And lastly, through genetic engineering. In some cases, scientists use genetic engineering techniques to enhance natural antibiotics or develop new types. This method allows for modification that can make antibiotics more effective against resistant bacteria. So there are different types of antibiotics. So the first one is bacteriostatic antibiotics. They stop bacteria from growing, allowing the immune system to eliminate them naturally. They inhibit the process bacteria need to multiply, such as protein synthesis. So next one is bactericidal antibiotics. These antibiotics directly kill bacteria by attacking the bacterial cell wall or essential functions, causing bacteria to break apart and die. Some antibiotics can act as bactericidal or bacteriostatic, depending on the dose and the bacteria they are targeting. At lower doses, they may prevent bacterial growth, while higher doses may kill the bacteria outright. So antibiotics are only effective against bacterial infections, including strep throat, an infection of the throat caused by Streptococcus bacteria, which causes pain and inflammation. So next one is urinary tract infection or UTIs, infections in the urinary system often caused by bacteria like E. coli. So why antibiotics don't work on viruses is that viruses and bacteria are very different. Viruses do not have the same cellular structure that bacteria have and do not grow or reproduce in the same way. Antibiotics target bacterial structure or function that viruses lack, so they have no effect on viral infections. So in summary, antibiotics are crucial for treating bacterial infection, but they should be used with caution or only when needed. Misuse or overuse of antibiotics can lead to antibiotic resistance, making future infections harder to treat. So, what is antibiotic resistance? Antibiotic resistance is a serious public health issue that occurs when bacteria adapt to survive despite antibiotics meant to kill them. This resistance often results from the misuse and overuse of antibiotics, such as taking them for viral infections or not finishing a prescribed course. As bacteria become resistant, infections that were once easily treatable now require stronger, more costly, and potentially less effective drugs. This can lead to stronger illnesses, higher healthcare costs, and increased risk of death. To prevent resistance, antibiotics should only be used when necessary and always as directed by a healthcare professional. Now, let's move on in discussing about the ways to use antibiotics correctly. So the first one is we must follow instructions carefully. Always take antibiotics exactly as prescribed by your healthcare provider. Stick to the dosing schedule and finish the entire course. Even if you start feeling better before it's done, stopping early can leave some bacteria alive, increasing the risk of them becoming resistant. Next one is don't save antibiotics for later. Avoid keeping leftover antibiotics. Each prescription is tailored to a specific infection, so keeping unused antibiotics may tempt you to self-treat in the future, which could be inappropriate or harmful. And lastly, avoid using other person's prescription. Antibiotics prescribed for someone else may not be effective for your infection and could lead to side effects or resistance. Always consult a healthcare provider to get the right medication for your specific indication. So what are the side effects of antibiotics? The first one, and digestive issues. Antibiotics can upset your stomach, causing nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, bloating, indigestion, stomach pain, and sometimes loss of appetite. Second one, in skin reaction. Some people experiences rashes, hives, or swelling in the areas like the mouth or lips after taking antibiotics. The third one are yeast infections. Antibiotics can disrupt the natural balance of bacteria, leading to yeast infections with symptoms like itching, burning, unusual discharge, and discomfort during sex. So the fourth one are allergic reaction. In rare cases, antibiotics can trigger allergies causing coughing, wheezing, or tight feeling in the throat or difficulty in breathing. And lastly, the other effects. Some antibiotics may cause dizziness, unusual fatigue, swollen feet or ankles, heart palpitations, or sudden shortness of breath. Now, let's proceed in tackling about some of the examples of antibiotics. So the first one are aminoglycosides. These are antibiotics that works by inhibiting protein synthesis in some gram-negative bacteria, including E. coli, Klebsiella pneumoniae, Proteus mirabilis, and Pseudomonas aeruginosa. They bind irreversibly to bacterial ribosomes, causing errors in genetic code that lead to common death or cell death. Common aminoglycosides include amikacin, gentamicin, neomycin, plasmamycin, streptomycin, and tobramycin. These drugs are contraindicated in patients with allergies to aminoglycosides, renal disease, pre-existing hearing loss, myasthenia, myasthenia gravis, or Parkinsonism, and they require caution during pregnancy due to potential effects on the fetus. Adverse effects can involve central nervous system, including hearing loss or confusion, kidneys like renal failure, bone marrow like immune suppression, gastrointestinal issues like nausea or diarrhea, cardiac symptoms like palpitation, and hypersensitivity reactions like rashes and dermatitis. Now, let's move on to the last example, which are gabapenins. These are a class of bacterial antibiotics that works by inhibiting bacterial cell membrane synthesis, making them effective against infections caused by bacteria such as Streptococcus pneumoniae, E. coli, and Staphylococcus aureus. Common carbapenems include doripenem, ertapenem, imipenem cilastatin, and meropenem, which are used to treat intra-abdominal, urinary, skin, bone, joint, and gynecological infections. They should be avoided in patients with carbapenem or beta-lactam allergies and used with caution in those with kidney issues, pregnant or breastfeeding women, and children under 18 years old for meropenem verbobactam. Adverse effects may include gastrointestinal issues like nausea, vomiting, dehydration, and E. difficile infection. Risk of superinfections and central nervous effects such as headaches, dizziness, seizures, especially when interacting with other drugs.
How do antibiotics work? Pathogenic bacteria in the body cause infections, which can be treated by antibiotics. Antibiotics can be bacteriostatic or bactericidal. Bacteriostatic antibiotics slow the growth of bacteria by interfering with the processes the bacteria need to multiply. These processes include DNA replication, metabolism, e.g. enzyme activity, protein production, bactericidal antibiotics kill the bacteria, for example by preventing the bacteria from making a cell wall. Penicillins are bactericidal. Penicillins include penicillin 5 for sore throats, amoxicillin for chest infections, and fluxloxacillin for skin infections. Antibiotics can be so-called broad spectrum, affecting many different bacteria in your body, including useful bacteria in your gut. Some antibiotics are more narrow spectrum, only affecting one or two types of bacteria. It is better to use narrow spectrum antibiotics where possible. Most antibiotics have no effect on your immune system. Antibiotics do not work on viruses because viruses have a different structure to bacteria. Viruses incorporate themselves into a host cell in your body in order to multiply. Bacteriostatic antibiotics that affect bacterial DNA, metabolism, or protein production do not attack body cells and therefore do not slow the growth of viruses. Viruses do not have a cell wall, and therefore bactericidal antibiotics that act on cell walls cannot kill viruses.
Good day, I am Eliza May P. VERA from Group 6 of BSN 2 Henderson. So for today, I'll be talking about antifungal drugs. So before we start, let us first define what is fungus or fungi. Fungus, in plural form, is fungi is a group of eukaryotic organisms. They are distinct from plants, animals, and bacteria. Fungi are heterotrophic, meaning they obtain their nutrients by absorbing organic materials from their environment, often breaking down dead or decaying matter. They play a crucial role in ecosystems as decomposers and can also form symbiotic relationships with plants or cause diseases. Fungi reproduce through spores and can exist in various forms including unicellular, like yeast, and multicellular, such as mushroom and molds. The example of these are yeast, mushroom, and molds. So what are antifungal drugs? Antifungal drugs are medications that is used to treat mycosis or fungal infection. So they work through fungistatic action, meaning they inhibit the fungal growth, or through fungicidal action, meaning they kill the fungi. So they are classified into two, such as the azoles and the echinocandins. So here are the types of the antifungal drugs. We have azoles. Azoles are a large group of antifungals used to treat systemic and topical fungal infection. or they inhibit ergosterol synthesis. Example of this is the fluconazole or the flucan. So, fluconazole is used to treat candidiasis, cryptococcal meningitis, and other systemic fungal infection. For the dose and route, for the adult, we have 200 to 400 mg by mouth or IV on day 1, and followed by 200 milligrams per day for 2 to 3 weeks. For pediatric, 3 not exceeding 12 milligrams per kilograms by mouth or IV. However, for the treatment of vaginal candida, we have 150 milligrams by mouth as a single dose. Another example is the ketoconazole or generic. Ketoconazole is used to treat aspergillosis, cryptococcosis, blastomycosis, and histoplasmosis. It is also topical treatment of mycosis and to reduce the scaling of dandruff. For the dose and route, we have adult 200 milligrams per day by mouth to 400 milligrams per day by mouth in severe cases. For pedia, ages more than 2, 3.3 to 6.6 mg per kilograms per day by mouth.
The role of azoles. Fungi are eukaryotic organisms which possess a unique cell wall and cell membrane that can serve as targets for antifungal agents. The azole family of drugs specifically targets the fungal cell membrane. The cell membrane of fungi is similar to that of other eukaryotic cells and is composed of a lipid bilayer with proteins embedded within it. A major component of the fungal cell membrane is the presence of sterols, which are virtually absent from all prokaryotes, including bacteria. One of the essential sterols in the fungal cell membrane is ergosterol. In most fungi, it replaces the cholesterol component found in higher eukaryotic cell membranes. Ergosterol provides stability and flexibility to the fungal cell membrane. Lanosterol serves as the precursor for the formation of ergosterol. Although many enzymes are involved in the formation of ergosterol, the 14-alpha demethylase enzyme is responsible for the C14-alpha demethylation of lanosterol. It is an essential enzyme that serves as a target for azole antifungal agents. Although some azoles have an immediate effect of damaging the fungal cell membrane directly, their major mechanism of action is by binding to the cytochrome P450-mediated 14-alpha demethylase enzyme, thus inhibiting the demethylation of lanosterol and blocking the synthesis of ergosterol. In turn, this results in an accumulation of 14-alpha methylsterols and a depletion of ergosterol in the cell membrane. The lack of ergosterol in the fungal cell membrane makes it very unstable. Eventually, the cell membrane begins to break down, and the fungal organism dies.
So another type of antifungal drugs is the echinocandins. So echinocandin inhibits glucan synthesis. Since glucan is an enzyme that is present in fungal cell wall but not in human cell wall, if this enzyme is inhibited, the fungal cell wall cannot form, leading to death of the cell wall. So example of the echinocandin are the anidulafungin or the araxis. It is used to treat candidemia or the infection of the bloodstream. It is taken 100 to 200 mg IV on day 1, 50 to 100 mg per day IV for 14 days, but the dose is varies from the infection being treated. So another example is the caspofungin acetate, or another word for cansidas. So this is used to treat invasive aspergillosis in patients who is not responds or intolerant to other therapies. So for the dose, for the adult, we have 70 milligrams per day in IV loading dose, 50 milligrams per day in IV infusion, but take note that the dose should be reduced to 35 milligrams per day IV infusion to the patients with hepatic impairments.
The echinocandin class of antifungal agents target the cell wall of fungi. In general, 80 to 90% of a fungal cell wall consists of polysaccharides. Glucans, which are polymers of glucose, are the major components of the fungal cell wall, accounting for 30 to 60% of the cell wall of yeasts, such as Candida. The cell wall of filamentous fungi differs somewhat from yeast and include a higher concentration of chitin, as well as in some, a novel linear beta-1314 glucan. A glucan synthase complex located in the fungal cell membrane is responsible for beta-1,3 glucan synthesis. This occurs on the cytoplasmic side of the fungal membrane. Glucan chains extrude from the glucan synthase complex into the periplasmic space where they are then incorporated into the cell wall. Echinocandins act by inhibiting the synthesis of 1,3-beta-D-glucan. Echinocandins may also block beta-1,6-glucan synthesis. This is achieved by binding to the beta-1,3 synthase complex, an enzyme that is not present in human cells. This eventually leads to reduced fungal cell wall integrity, abnormal cell morphology, and finally, cell rupture and death.
So next is mechanisms of action. So number 1 is disruption of cell membranes. Since we all know that many antifungals target ergosterol, such as the azoles, a key component of fungal cell membranes leading to increased permeability or cell death. Number 2 is the inhibition of cell wall synthesis. So, agents like echinocandins inhibits the synthesis of glucan, a crucial part of fungal cell wall. Lastly is the inhibition of nucleic acid synthesis. So, some antifungals interfere with DNA or RNA synthesis, disrupting the fungal growth and replication. So as we've said earlier, the ketoconazole or generic is used to treat dandruff or scaling. So the other clinical uses of antifungal drugs are the treatment of skin infections such as the athlete's foot, jack and ringworm, fingernail and toenail fungus, as well as the dandruff. Next is antifungal drugs also treat dangerous infections such as aspergillosis, valley fever, meningitis, histoplasmosis, and also rhinosinusitis. Of course, it is important to take note for the side effects of the antifungal drugs. So, liver toxicity and can cause severe effects on fetus or nursing baby is a side effect for azole. Fever, phlebitis at injection site is a side effect for echinocandins, and other antifungal drugs can cause liver enzyme elevation, gastrointestinal disturbance, and nephrotoxicity. Overall, antifungal drugs is important in managing fungal infections, disruption of cell membrane, inhibition of cell wall synthesis, and interference with nucleic acid metabolism are some of the strategies or mechanism of actions. However, they are also associated with serious side effects. Thus, calling for restraint and supervision during their use is a must. Understanding the function and potential side effects is necessary for effective clinical practice and safety of our patients. That's all for the antifungal drugs. Thank you for listening.
Antiviral drugs are specialized medications designed to prevent the replication and spread of viruses within the body. Unlike antibiotics, which target bacterial infections, antiviral agents specifically inhibit viral activity. They achieve this by interfering with various stages of the viral life cycle, including attachment to host cells, entry into those cells, replication of viral genetic material, and the release of new viral particles. Antivirals are essential for treating a range of viral diseases and managing chronic conditions caused by viruses such as HIV/AIDS, influenza, herpes simplex virus, and hepatitis B and C.
Antiviral drugs are sometimes used to help fight viral infections. But how do they work? In order to answer that question, we must first understand the virus life cycle. The virus life cycle contains 4 main steps: infection, replication, assembly, and release. Upon infection, the virus attaches to and enters the host cell. After entering the cell, the virus releases its contents so that it can begin the replication process. During replication, the virus replicates its RNA and makes viral proteins using the host cell's energy. The virus then assembles its RNA and proteins into fully formed new viruses. These new viruses are then ready to be sent out of the cell to infect new hosts. Antiviral drugs don't kill viruses, but are able to stop one step of the virus's life cycle. For example, a drug that inhibits replication slows down the virus life cycle to a speed that the immune system can manage. This makes it easier for the immune system to control the spread of viruses and kill infected cells. When our immune system can't do it alone, antiviral drugs can help us win these microscopic battles, giving us small victories where we need them the most.
Mechanisms of action. Antiviral drugs pursue several key mechanisms. Attachment inhibitors. These drugs prevent viruses from binding to host cell receptors. By blocking this initial step, they stop the virus from entering the cell. Entry inhibitors. These agents interfere with the process that allows the virus to penetrate the host cell membrane. Uncoating inhibitors. After a virus enters a host cell, it must release its genetic material to replicate. Uncoating inhibitors block this process. Protease inhibitors. These drugs inhibit protease enzymes that are critical for processing viral proteins necessary for assembling new viral particles. Polymerase inhibitors. These agents disrupt the synthesis of viral nucleic acids, DNA or RNA, preventing the virus from replicating its genetic material. Integrase inhibitors, specifically used in retroviral infections like HIV, these drugs prevent the integration of viral DNA into the host genome. Antivirals can be classified based on their mechanisms and targets. Nucleoside analogs. These mimic natural nucleosides and incorporated into viral DNA or RNA during replication, leading to premature termination. Examples: acyclovir, primarily used for herpes simplex and Varicella zoster viruses. Tenofovir, used for treating HIV and hepatitis B. Protease inhibitors. These block the action of proteases needed for viral replication. Examples: indinavir, used in HIV treatment. Cimeprevir, targets hepatitis C. Neuraminidase inhibitors, primarily used for influenza viruses. They inhibit neuraminidase, an enzyme crucial for the release of new virions from infected cells. Examples: oseltamivir or Tamiflu, effective against influenza A and B when taken early in infection. Integrase inhibitors. These prevent the integration of viral DNA into the host genome. Examples: raltegravir, used in HIV treatment.
We've heard a lot about the coronavirus recently, but what is a virus really? Viruses are submicroscopic organisms found almost everywhere on Earth. They can infect anything, from animals to plants to fungi to bacteria. Sometimes viruses cause deadly disease. Other times they trigger no reaction at all. Diseases caused by viruses include rabies, herpes, Ebola, and COVID-19, to name a few. Viruses are very, very small, just a millionth of an inch, some 10,000 times smaller than a grain of salt. Since they come in many different shapes and sizes, none of them work in exactly the same way. Of the millions of viruses that occur in nature, only a very small number of them have the ability to do us harm. Even though viruses vary in complexity, they all consist of genetic material, RNA or DNA, packaged together with proteins and surrounded by a lipid membrane. Viruses dock onto the surface of cells and trick the cell into letting them in. Once inside, the virus hijacks its host, forcing the cell to make more virus copies. Since viruses cannot replicate without a host, they are often referred to as parasitic. While good medications to treat virus infections exist, vaccines have proven successful in stopping viruses from spreading.
Clinical uses. Antiviral drugs are crucial in treating various viral infections. Influenza antivirus like oseltamivir can reduce symptoms and duration of illness if taken within 48 hours of symptom onset. Herpes simplex virus, acyclovir, is commonly prescribed for both initial and recurrent infections. HIV/AIDS, a combination of antiretroviral therapies or ART, is used to manage HIV infection effectively, improving quality of life and reducing transmission risk. Hepatitis B and C, nucleoside analogs and protease inhibitors are part of combination therapies that can lead to viral suppression or cure in some cases. Side effects. While antiviral medications can be effective, they may also cause side effects. Common side effects include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and headaches. Severe side effects can occur but are less common. This may include skin rashes, liver toxicity, and heart rhythm abnormalities. In conclusion, antiviral drugs play a vital role in managing viral infections by targeting specific stages of the viral life cycle. Their development has significantly improved treatment options for diseases like HIV/AIDS, influenza, herpes simplex virus, and hepatitis B and C. Ongoing research continues to enhance our understanding and effectiveness of antiviral therapies against emerging viral threats.